Gravel riding is fun and it can take you on new exciting adventures that you haven't been on before. Wow! We here at GCN have been riding gravel for some time now, from epic 500-kilometre gravel bikepacking adventures to your casual gravel ride. But let me tell you, we have made pretty much every mistake when it comes to gravel riding. So in this video, I'm going to share some of those mistakes with you so you don't make them yourself. One mistake I made on my very first gravel race was not making sure all my bolts were tight. This resulted in me having the most rattliest bottle cage. My poor bottle was hanging on for dear life. Gravel is rough and bumpy stuff, and things will work loose over time. And this can possibly happen. Imagine this in your ride. How annoying would that be? So that's why you need to go around and check everything is tight to save you riding around with one of these. You also want to make sure that your bottle fits your bottle cage, because if your bottle cage is too big, your bottle is just going to fly out on any bumpy surface. You can be left without any water for the whole ride, and that's not very pleasant when you're working hard and you get quite parched. You also want to make sure that your seat post and your handlebars are done up tightly, because if they work loose on the ride, it's not going to be very nice. On the other hand, you do not want to over tighten any of your bolts, because that's going to be a very annoying, costly mistake. But it will usually say on all the bolts how tight you need to tighten them, so just stick to that and you'll be absolutely fine. Now this next one is going to vary depending on where in the world you live. It's probably not relevant to those of you who live in America that have the nicest, smoothest gravel roads in the world. I'm very jealous. Here in the UK, our gravel roads look a little bit different. It's usually through fields or on single track, things like this. Anything we can get our hands on really, and a lot of the tracks that I've been on are very debatable whether me and my gravel bike should even be there. Some of them actually feel like downhill tracks, and yes, the bike might be capable of going down it, but it's not very good for it. It hasn't got any suspension and you don't want to crack your poor frame. But just do some research before you head out on your gravel bike. Make sure you're not heading on any waterfall things or anything like this really. Oh God. Another mistake we see a lot of beginner gravel riders make is going around gravelly corners and crashing. You cannot be riding around gravel corners like they're tarmac, because you will deck it. You need to be extra careful when cornering on gravel. You can't really go into these gravel corners the same as you would on the road, because there is lots of tiny little loose stones, and we all know they can be pretty sketchy if you go over them a little bit too fast, or your bike can be wiped from underneath you. You need to reduce your speed coming into a gravel corner, or if you do come into it a little bit fast, make sure to put your foot down, and that's going to help you make a little correction if your tyres do slip a little bit. But you definitely don't want a face full of gravel. No one needs that in their life. Just like on the road, if you tense up and grab a handful of brakes, things might go sideways pretty quickly. But when you're on your gravel bike, you want to get used to that feeling that the ground might move underneath you a little bit. You might do a little skid or slide here and there, but embrace your inner child. If you do slide, just see it as an opportunity to practice your skills. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to crash if you do, but it's going to help you relax a little bit more and get more confident on the bike. This next one I have been guilty of. You do not, and I repeat, you do not need to put the same amount of pressure in your gravel bike tyres as you do in your road bike tyres. However careful you are in choosing a route, you are going to come across some really bumpy, gnarly gravel. And when you go over really bumpy stuff with hard tyres, you will be shaking like this and your teeth will like that. It's not nice. Sometimes you'll even go over things that mountain bikes usually go over, and mountain bikes have suspension and a lot bigger tyres. The only suspension you have on this bike is your tyres. So running a lower pressure, say around 30 psi, is going to be very beneficial, going to give you a lot more comfort and traction in your tyres. Now this next mistake is actually one of Hank's most recent gravel riding mistakes. He recently did a ride where he rode 500 plus kilometres on gravel, and he chose to ride in his road shoes. Don't ask me why, but it turned out to be quite a big mistake for him. Most gravel riders will choose to wear a set of SPD shoes, like these ones, Gravel Pacific. They've got a flat sole and a lot of tread, because sometimes you will tend to get off your bike, run through puddles or walk or technical bits, and you need that grip on your shoe, whereas road shoes do not have that. The gravel shoes tend to be a little bit more flexible, so your feet don't tend to get as sore as the really stiff road shoes. And the pedals have dual-sided, so you can clip in and out really easily, which you need on gravel, where you have to do some running. Hank did not have any of that, so you can see he probably struggled with it. So don't wear your road shoes on your gravel bike. Now this next one is a super duper important one. Do not forget your bar bag, your frame bag, your fork bag, your saddle bag, your bum bag, your fanny pack, all your bags to go out gravel riding. You definitely need them. Only joking. You do not need any sort of special trendy bag to go and ride gravel. All the cool kids will have them, and they'll wear cool t-shirts out on the bike. I'm definitely not that cool to be able to do that. And you don't need to dress a certain way or have certain bags to go on a gravel ride. Just get on your bike and enjoy gravel riding. Now, if you haven't entered a race or an event before, I would 100% enter a gravel race as your first. It is such an amazing community and culture. It's like one big family, really. The gravel races I've entered have been some of the most enjoyable races I've done. And there's so many different abilities, from professional racers to people, you know, like I was doing their very first gravel event. It is so enjoyable, and I'd 100% recommend it. Now, don't go thinking that your first gravel event has to be 200 kilometres long. It doesn't have to be. It could be 40 kilometres. There's actually races you can do that have time sections. So you could ride casually, stop, then you have a time section, so you go flat out on that time section, then you stop, have another little ride, and then hit another time section and go really fast. So there are so many different kind of events that you can do. Something to suit everybody. Gravel races tend to be some of the longest events out there, anywhere from 50 to 300 plus kilometres, and it is a really long way. And most of us, well, we don't get to ride that far in training, so when we do the event, we are really putting our bodies in the unknown. We don't know what kind of pace we can hold for that distance. Now, pretty much every single GCN presenter has done a gravel race, apart from Dan Lloyd, actually. Maybe we should sort that out. But pretty much all of us have all gone out way too fast in our event. So you cannot hold that pace that you hold for the first hour in the last hour. So it is very easy to get carried away. There's hundreds of riders around you and you get all excited. But let me tell you, let those riders bomb past you in the first hour, because let me tell you, come hour 5, 6, 7, 8, you'll be bombing past them. Just be patient, ride your own race. So those are some mistakes that we've pretty much all done here at GCN when we've been riding gravel, but hopefully you can take something from this video and learn from some of them. If you have found this video helpful, then please make sure you let us know down in that comment section and give us a like. But whilst you're down there, let us know what gravel mistakes you've done, because we all love hearing these stories.